Hey everyone, today I'm going to talk about what in this order, and I think a number of other orders as well, call the Book of Planetary Spheres or Planetary Realms. And to be honest, this was one of the first things that really got me involved in magic and mysticism. Not necessarily paganism, although a lot of people link those two, and it's true, but there's a number of pagan religions that don't do very much with magical and what you call magician arts, but they do believe in pagan gods. We can go into that at another time. But the Book of Planetary Spheres or Planetary Influences, when I was about 12, I got to read the or excerpts, I guess, a couple pages, which is, to be honest, from the order that I am a part of now. They had kept and have kept a Book of Planetary Influence for, I'm going to guess, close to 50 years. So this tells you how long a number of our members have been involved in magic and the occult. So it blew the doors open of possibility, and this was my first intro into consciously and purposely exploring alternate realms of awareness and existence, and seeing how these are not just places of the mind, that these are actual places that exist and have direct influence upon our physical plane, and that a number of them are well established and have been visited for thousands of years by magicians of all sorts of traditions, and in some cases do actually exist on alternate planes that hold physical spots for these dimensions. And the beings of these places come from a gigantic multi-universe. So some of them have incarnated many times but have never held a human life. These are not necessarily the same as trans-Plutonian beings. They are semi-different. The majority of these beings are either indifferent or friendly towards human contact. There are those that can be hostile, but they're rare, and I'm going to tell you how to protect yourself. The inverse, or what I think a movie actually termed it, something that I've been hearing long before I saw this movie, but a term for the Qlop would be the underverse, which is the outpouring and collective experience of a number of highly egocentric, egomaniac, psychopathic, sociopathic, and all sorts of highly negative entities and energies that coalesce together. We don't visit that part. And thankfully, the sigils, which I'll explain here in a bit, to those doorways of that particular part of the multi-universe are even more secretive than that of the Kabbalah, which again is a universal pathway. Think of it as sort of a map to the multiverse, even though it doesn't actually take the shape that you see here. It's sort of an interesting pattern that how the way that these things flow into one another and then directly affect our consciousness, which is seated right here at Malkuth, or the kingdom. So just, some basic background. A book of planetary influence is always going to be a channeled work. So It starts out blank. Most Wiccans would recognize the term if I said Book of Shadows, although that's slightly different. But and actually that has more of an astrological meaning behind it, and I think I'll spill the beans on that sometime soon. But a book of planetary spheres or influences is going to be a channeled work, because you are going to be the traveler to these different spheres of influence, and you are going to write down your experiences, and you are going to collect them and place them in each section. So let's just say that because we're working with Assumption of God form, that right now you really want to start creating experiences with your higher self, which is located right here at Tipareth, which is the cross, the center of the multi-universe. So we see the Christ symbol as the center of the cross. Do you see? The Bible is an allegorical, although poor allegorical, story of higher Kabbalic symbolism. So there is a reason why the sun rises, the sun sets. It is the center of the universe, but it is not the light source. All right. Someone implied recently that Lucifer was a sun god. No, Lucifer on the Qulop is actually part of the Underverse's Godhead. All right, which is above Tiparoth. This is the source of light beaming down into the gloomy world of our physicality, and there's tons and tons of allegorical and alchemical reasons for that, and it would take so long to get into. But because we want to start focusing our energies here and at Tiparoth and figuring out what our higher purpose is, everything that you write from that particular section would go into what is called the Book of the Sun, or the solar pages, and you would keep things separate. Okay, so you are actually going to be automatic writing. Now, a lot of people have some fear about that. There's been a great deal of, I suppose some of it is legit, although not as much as one would say. But automatic writing does. It opens up your consciousness to allow an intelligence to channel information through you, which then you write out on a piece of paper. I mean, really, that's what it is. Now, you can just open yourself up and begin to channel and to write. The danger of that, perhaps, is you will begin to channel whatever entity is closest to you. For the majority of the world, because of the Faustian Pact, the entities closest to them are going to be those entities placed by the Illuminati and the reptilian agenda to keep you afraid and to keep you locked into the physical world. Because the true devil, as seen in the Rider-Waite Tarot, is a master of the dark physicality, and it enslaves things to build the physical world. To awaken from your slumber and to realize that you are master of the world, of your world, you put that entity to work for you. However, silence is consent, and until you tell that being it works for you, because of the Faustian Pact, you will work for it. And it needs you to do as you're influenced. It needs you to stay asleep, and it needs you to be afraid to venture into higher realms, which is what automatic writing will do. So the first encounter you have is usually a highly negative, very belligerent, and scary entity, which has no real power. It's the lowest of the low, because those are the only beings that they can get to stick around and hang around and do nothing. until they have to. But basically, they're the minimum wage workers of the metaphysical universe. And they're grumpy, they don't like what they're doing, and they're going to take their misgivings out upon you. So you channel these entities, which will tell you some pretty fucked up stuff. And people are like, oh my God, it's the devil, and run away, because that's what Christianity has programmed the little sheep to do. So, I mean, do you really get that Jesus is your shepherd, and you are a lamb? You're a sheeple. I mean, come on. Christianity is the religion of slaves. Wake the fuck up. Wake the fuck up. So, anyways, not paying attention to... and then you have the New Age idiot wannabes who are like, oh, you encounter necromancers and all sorts of demons. Also, pure, unadulterated bullshit by guys who probably weigh 380 pounds, live in their basement because walking up the steps leaves them winded. Trust me, being around pagan communities, I've seen this many, many times. So, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. The real cause is because you generally have a little nasty, impy little thing that hangs around you to try to keep you in place, all right? The illusion of power is the Illuminati's greatest weapon. Are they powerful? Yes, indeed. But are they all-encompassing powerful? No. They want you to believe that they are, because that's their intent to one day be, but they are not fully all-encompassing yet. But they will be if people remain apathetic and stupid and continue on with the religion of slaves waiting for Jesus to come back. Anyways, done with that. So when you automatic write, you are channeling the first entity that comes to that comes to you, and it's going to be the closest. Generally, if you are automatic writing and you begin to have a bad experience, you need to, with every fiber of your being, tell that entity to get the fuck away from you. Or you need to call upon a higher entity, okay? This is one of the things that Christianity stole from numerous pagan traditions, is they would say, the power of Christ compels you in their exorcisms. Well, every time that I've had to exorcise some sort of transbutanian fucknard or some sort of evil dead sent by, I don't know, whatever and whomever, or reptilian, should have been abortion, I do it in the name of Thor. And believe me, those things fucking run. The reason Christianity in that way works is because there are true and powerful Christ entities, which exist right here on the cross of the multi-universe. Okay? So, also Tiprath, being a solar energy, is a very powerful cleansing and purification power, and all transplutonian beings and most negative beings can't handle the output of positive energy when those beings are called upon. Christianity works only to a degree, but enslaves the rest of the way. That's why people fall for it so much. I'm going to have to do part 2, but I just needed to get that out there as we're talking about automatic writing, because the majority of you will probably start out in automatic writing and have this bad experience and then go, oh my God, it doesn't work, I have demons around me, blah, 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 and you feed into their power, and guess what? They get stronger. So I need you to know that even though you have a bad experience one time, maybe 2 times, you can call upon a higher power. Now, here's the reason why I'm trying to get you to assume a God form and not become a God form like the Kulak would. It's because you have a direct connection to a very powerful entity that, because you are working with it and you've developed such an intimate relationship on a positive level, like a really good friend or mother or father figure, they will be very willing, very fast to come and help you. Let me do part 2 here to bed.